What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are doing an awkward part 1 review of the ASICS Gel-Nimbus 25s. I'm 62 miles in. I did shoot, but did not get around to editing first impressions of this video. And at this point, that's not really relevant. Plus, my first impressions never tend to do that great on YouTube. So we are just gonna do a part 1 review. 62 miles in. I do have a firm, I think, feel of the shoe, and I've got some pretty good opinions thus far. So we're gonna go into the build and specs of the shoe. I'm gonna talk about the fit and the ride, and then I'm gonna give you with kind of an overarching after 62 miles breakdown and opinions. We're gonna be looking at kind of the price, other shoes, things that ASICS are doing in terms of where they're headed, and what I'm just thinking about the shoe so far. So before we jump into some things, maybe this is a good time to like the video. It helps me out. Obviously, always throw a comment or subscribe to the channel. All that stuff helps me out. But let's get into the build and the specs of the ASICS Gel-Nimbus 25s after 62 miles. Okay, so let's get into some of the build. You have a road shoe that is technically built as a neutral / under pronator. So basically, if you put more pressure on the outside of your foot when landing, you're kind of one of those under pronator types. You got an 8mm drop with a 41.5 in the heel and a 33.5 in the forefoot. So this is definitely a max cushion shoe. You know, anything over that 39, I'd say, millimeter in the heel counts as that max cushion. But it is also coming in at a men's size 9, about 10.5 ounces. So it still isn't that heavy. So yeah, you know, maybe you can do it for more things, hinting at the future there. Updates to the shoe in terms of the build. Let me just go ahead and pick it up. How about that? I'll hold it. We are looking at an updated stretch knit collar and tongue with this little heel strap thing. It definitely does a good job of stretching. It seems like it would be kind of an insulator, but I think they do, you can kind of see through it. So it's also breathable, but I would say comfortable, and does a good job of kind of hugging to the foot while also giving it kind of an organic look to it rather than a synthetic look. Moving down from there, we're going to talk about the new pure gel technology mixed with the FF Blast Plus Echo foam, which is the majority of your midsole. But you do have between kind of the foot and the midsole, you got that pure gel. It's a kind of a honeycomb design. It's not much. It's, you know, serves just a little bit in there. And it's just an absorber. Is that a word? It's just there to absorb and kind of take some of the pressure on as you kind of make contact with the ground. And then below that, as you can see, is a ton of that FF Blast Echo. Why do I keep messing that up? FF Blast Plus Echo. That's a mouthful. This is a bio-based foam material, and according to the website, you've got 20% more of it than previous versions. Which you can obviously see because it is fat compared to the 24. Yeah, I think between the two, you know, the gel gives you kind of that comfort of absorbing, and then the intention is with this midsole to give you that max cushion, recovery day, daily trainer. I mean, it's not a daily trainer, but in my opinion kind of is. We'll talk about that more. It gives you that, you know, the comfort, the cushion, and ultimately it is intended to allow you to be able to do those longer runs and recovery runs while your body is, you know, maybe a little bit sore from your week of, you know, other type of steady interval speed work, whatever you're doing. Below that, Ahar Plus outsole. Love this design, specifically with this colorway. You know, it's not super, it's the same exact color as the midsole. The material, the outsole rubber is not really firm, so I guess that's borderline concerning, but after 62 miles, not really. It's in classic spots, kind of, if you're in that under pronator, you got some coverage, over pronator coverage, front of the toe, and then the 2 spots on the heel as well. So kind of a classic design in terms of outsole coverage, while also not doing that much. Overall build of the shoe, updates are you've got that knit kind of upper tongue, that knit tongue and collar, and then obviously the pure gel combined with that FF Blast Plus Echo midsole. It has a total new, I would say, build and look compared to the Gel-Nimbus 24s. So now let's talk a little bit about the fit and ride of this shoe. Overall, I would say the fit does pretty well for my slightly narrow foot. Tons of cushion in the heel, and I've not had any type of slipping in there. I definitely have a narrow heel. Moving up towards the middle of the foot, I think you've got a teeny bit of a high arch in this shoe, and I think that kind of comes with the design of being intended for neutral / under pronators. So it gives you, I'd say, more support, I guess, in the arch. Toe box, I would say across the board is a teeny tiny bit small, but definitely not, a tight, less space. I'm kind of just comparing this to the Nova Blast 3, which I think had a little bit more room in the toe box. I would say this is a little bit tighter in there. And then when it comes to overall length, I think it is a teeny tiny bit shorter than the Nova Blast 3 that I recently ran in. So, but not at all to the point of being a different size. This is true to size for me. I run in 10.5 Nova Blast 3s every shoe for the last 2 years. Yeah, aside from Endorphin Pro ones. So these are true to size for me, pretty spot on. And moving on to ride, not what you would think, but for me overall pleasantly surprised. I would say this is more of a bouncy, responsive shoe, not a cushion absorber. You don't get the really smush in, bounce out feel that you may get in, I would say, the most popular shoe right now would be comparable is the Nike Invincible 3s. I ran in the Invincible 1s, and that entire Zoom X midsole just gives you so much kind of sinking in and coming out of. Whereas I think it doesn't give you quite as much of that, but I mean, that kind of lends to a shoe that might be able to do more. I think this shoe is very comfortable for all of those max cushion workouts, your recovery runs, your long runs. But I think that kind of almost firmness, not full cushion sinker, I would say, max cushion shoe, what you would think of. I think it can still do your steady days, maybe a quicker pace here or there. I think if you're going someplace for a long weekend and you want a shoe that you can do some quick stuff in, some mid-distance kind of stuff, you're throwing mile intervals into a longer run, I'd say you're fine in this. I've done, I cracked a 1 mile in the middle of, I think, a 3 miler the other day, and I did about 6:25, and it felt fine. I mean, so I think there's a versatility and maybe the lack of what you would think from a max cushion shoe. Another aspect of the Gel-Nimbus 25 is that it is similar to the recent ASICS shoes that I have tried. They are perfect from first run. There's no getting used to it. There's no, little things to sort out. I put this shoe on, I wore it exactly how I, tie up my shoes. It works with all of my socks. I haven't had any hot spots, no rubbing, anything like that from the get-go, from the absolute get-go, which is for me something that if ASICS can continue that way, it just means that they're doing a really good job for the way that I run and my feet. So I'm not saying it's great for everyone, but I am saying that this is yet again another shoe that just kind of first run amazing. So finally, my overall breakdown and opinion after 62 miles, how the shoe's done so far. I would say I've had no breakdown when it comes to any aspect of the upper tongue, midsole, even outsole. I think I've been running in a lot of unfavorable weather. Some of the footage I used even for this video was from this morning. I ran in, sometimes 3-4 inches of snow. That outsole does not seem to be the strongest, most durable rubber, but I mean, after 62 miles, I don't see really anything breaking it down. So yeah, the shoe is good for, as you would expect from that max cushion style shoe. This should last a really long time and a bunch of miles, 400 plus, take it to the limit. There's gonna be people out there who could probably do 1,000 miles in this shoe before they really have any issues. That being said, so you've got the durability. For me personally, the fit and ride is amazing. It's consistent with what I've seen from ASICS. Retails at $160, so super comparable to that 160 to 180 max cushion, super stack shoe right now. But it's a very competitive price for a max cushion shoe that, from my first impressions, is more versatile than you would imagine just a max cushion shoe. I think you can do some little bit quicker things in this shoe. That being said, I'd pair it with the Nova Blast Fine, and you could do the quicker stuff in the Nova Blast, and then save your long run recovery days for the Nimbus 25. In general, overall, love the shoe so far. Going to easily be doing 200 miles. But I just have to say that, first impressions are for 160 bucks, you're getting a fantastic shoe, and if you get the Nimbus 25s and you get on with it, I think there is going to be a future for this type of shoe and the way that ASICS is kind of progressing into the foam, the stack, more of what competitors are doing, and moving away from the kind of gel focused shoe line, which if you're a longtime ASICS person, you're probably maybe upset about that. I don't know, and that's been working for you. Personally, I love it. I think the shoe's amazing, and excited to run more miles in it. But that's all I have for you today. This is my awkward part 1 review of the ASICS Nova Blast, the ASICS Gel-Nimbus 25s. 62 miles down, plenty more to go. So obviously that leaves me with, I need to go run more miles, and I'll get back to you probably after about 200 or so, so that we can do kind of a final update on the shoe and see how it goes from there. But hopefully you got a little something out of this video, maybe something entertained you. Please like, comment, or subscribe to the channel if you did. And as always, stay safe out there, enjoy your runs, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace. 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 Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Cool.